libations, you're not only empowering the gods, you're empowering yourself. Most of the religions that we have that was left around in Africa, left back in Africa, the Yoruba, the Vodun, and other ones, what makes it different between the ancient systems, and when we say ancient, we talk about going back a couple of million years to a couple of thousand years. What makes it different between the ancient system, let's say about 1 million years ago, is now you think of the entities that you say, Oshun, Ogun, Osiris, Aset, Hosea. You think of those as objective entities that have no relationship to you. You think of them as an objective entity, which means that that entity you think is somewhere outside of you, that you have to actually appease by giving them water. In actuality, your true self and your higher self is a form of that particular entity because it's all a form of the same force. So, in a sense, it's just a way you have to start thinking of this because we have been tapped into this, we tapped into this fundamentalism, and even if we want to trade an African religion for, Christianity or whatever for an African religion, you can't think of it in the same context of fundamentalism of what you know of as the regular organized religions that you bow down to something. You are all a part of the same force, so when we do this libation and all, it's only just giving gasoline to you. You understand? And so this is the concept, and once you understand this, it can work better. Like I told you yesterday, that the ancient ones understood that when you were a child and didn't have knowledge, the gods would look over you. That's just like your higher self looking over you. But as you grew up and became an adult and had a certain amount of knowledge, they were there for your beck and call. They actually became your servants. And what we're talking about is your own mind and your melanin computer actually going in and actually commanding the 4 elements: fire, water, wind, earth, and a composite of other alchemical breakdowns, which is melanin: copper, lead, gold, silver, sulfur, salt. All of that breaking down is actually nothing but a combination of your souls, and you command that, other than some objective entity that you bowing down to. You the one that went through all of the hell down here, which makes it right for you to rule every damn thing because you the one that went through all the shit. See, that's the way it is. You do that. Remember, even in your Bible, it say, you told the angels to bow down to the brothers and sisters down here. And so it's a metaphysical thing. So when we put libations, you libate your own self, and this is a new way to empower it because we have to change our thinking to get on another level of the Netters, the Nephilim, the Neteru, or other names that we give the great hierarchy, which is nothing but yourself. So at this particular time, we will pour the libations and let's see. Sephra, I say Ain, I say Summer, I say Kepler, I say Shaka, I say Hannah, I say Deborah, I say Tipperet, I say Lakna, I say Har, I say Yesed, I say Malchus, I say Aether, I say Sirius, I say Magnetar, I say Jupiter, I say Mars, I say Helios, I say Venus, I say Mercury, I say Diana, I say Ceres, I say Aether, I say Uranus, I say Rhea, I say Zeus, I say Ares, I say Apollo, I say Aphrodite, I say Hermes, I say Armia, I say Demeter, I say Jason, I say Hera, I say, keep on going then, I like the drums. Perseus, I say, Orpheus, I say Dionysus, I say Aset, I say Tahuti, I say Maya, I say Mut, I say Munabit, I say Mintu, I say Mintu Sigara'a, I say Mintep Sing Sing, I say Ptah, I say Sut, I say Sut Nubit, I say Sut Nesti, I say Ra, I say Jah, I say Abra, I say Kakshi, I say Mithra, I say Jackson Mercy, I say Teheru, I say Anku, I say Tahuti, I say Aset, I say Nepher, I say Heru, I say Yiman, I say Odin, I say Priya, I say Malda, I say Laki, I say Thor, I say Freya, I say Priya, I say Sim, I say Judgment, I say Brahmin, I say Kabini, I say Vishnu, I say Ramadandra, I say Shakti, I say Shiva, I say Indasuda, I say Sita, I say Hanuman, I say Lakshmi, I say Jinsaya, I say Papa Day, I say, Demawalawedo, I say, Andrew, I say, Ananuki, I say, Tayamat, I say, Mardu, I say, Bridget, I say, Demawalawedo, I say, Adam Burger, I say, Obu Pirelli, I say, Obu Jango, I say, Ozuli, I say, Edoedo, I say, and we can go on now. We got the water, so we just keep on with the libation. Zaka, I say, Loa, I say, Ife, I say, Omakun, I say, Ololum, I say, Oshosi, I say, Ramaluk Luaye, I say, Obakala, I say, Oduduwa, I say, Oruna, I say, Oru, I say, Shango, I say, Odu, I say, Lekba, I say, Ininja, I say, Oya, I say, Orisha Oku, I say, keep on going. We got to read. Good to go. Okay. New. I say Appen. I say Tyre. I say Raphael. I say Gabriel. I say Iliel. I say Rubiel. I say Laxmiel. I say Gabriel. I say Michael. I say Samuel. I say Haniel. I say okay, Thunderdog. I say Thunderbird. I say Taxidi. I say Oya. I say Omi Tutu, I say Ani Tutu, I say Ili Tutu, I say Tutu Lepa, I say Kofi Ka, I say Kofi Arun, I say Kofi Iyo, I say Kofi Oko, I say Kofi Intana, I say Kofi Batima, I say Akababa Waya, I say Modo Obo Lasi, I say Modo Obo Risha, I say Modo Obo Itu, I say Modo Obo Itu, I say Nila Buttery, Oludamari Ibai Olurun, I say Nikamaki Obobo, I say Babalasa Obo Ilasa, I say Nikama, I say Ra, I say Ka, I say Ba, I say Ku, I say Sahu, I say Kab, I say Cat, I say Second, I say Oset, I say Sut, I say Sut, I say Ama, I say Nama, I say Ba, I say Na, I say Ama, I say, y'all gotta keep it pumping up. Y'all motherfuckers. Yama, I say Yugaru, I say Yugaru, I say vegetarian status, I say Imama, I say Bukimu, I say Bukimu, I say Kamara, I say Kingu, I say Bukimu, I say Marembo, I say Rariki, I say Bukimu, I say Dodo, I say Da, I say Sedo, I say Yodo, I say Ba, I say Yi, I say Maranisa, I say Lekba, I say Akarapan, I say Akakan, I say Panapa, I say Nakra, I say Maja, I say Sansama, I say Lampo, I say Sansama, I say Panapan, I say Kiwi, I say Sampasan, I say Cthulhu, I say Hapstar, I say Abathos, I say Nilla Hotel, I say Shunira, I say Great Old Ones, I say Deep Ones, I say Great Bear, I say Thunderdog, I say Thunderbird, I say Gopi Girl, I say AWAT, I say Mataneta Unra, I say Makulu Kulu, I say to all guys known and unknown, keep it going, I say to the HEMMITT family, to the Shaw family, to the Davis family, to all my family members, to Right Here Rupa Hootie, to Hoppercrot, to Hey Roo, to all my family members, to your family members, 1, 2, 3, start calling out the family members. 1, 2, 3. I shake, 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 I shake. To all family members, known and unknown, I shake. To all guys, known and unknown, I shake. To the poet, I shake. All right. Yeah, that's the way you do it. Give us up. To get the ball rolling, what we're going to deal with right now, we got a couple of things we're going to deal with. First of all, everybody saw this thing here because this is the new trend that's going on. Everybody in Hollywood, most black actresses in Hollywood have to go through this, and Oprah has done it twice. But anyway, this is a picture of Oprah on ABC after so-called Cinderella, and she's here with a bunch of white people. So this is nothing but the ongoing tradition of her being a doggone Hattie McDaniel, and you know, the whole thing where you the big maid. Now here's a woman that's got millions of dollars, but yet she will still take on the tradition of a fucking maid job and a wet nurse to a whole bunch of goddamn crackers. You will understand the symbology to this shit here. Here's a woman that's the richest. Now can you understand the image of this? This is the richest black woman in America and in the history of America, and yet she's standing here holding some motherfucking cracker, the same as some black woman held some white baby when they couldn't do no better in slavery. Now you got to understand the symbology of this, because this is a straight up idea of what I was talking about based on a clone. This is a woman that they killed some years ago, and the person that they have now do anything to please the white boy because she is being controlled. So you asked the question. Can we see it? You asked the question. What is the idea? What is the whole thing of a clone? And like I said, we talking about. You need to go take one of the best movies to see the cloning process is Judge Dredd. Fifth Element did a little bit. But we're talking about literally taking your cells and making a new person from. There's several movies on it, and we're talking about, but the clone is identical to you. It has your same memory. It has all of that, because the memory that you have is basically third-dimensional memory in the first place, so it doesn't take that much to actually duplicate it. And so we're talking about an exact you, but it just doesn't have the melanin. Now, why did this happen? The European was finding it increasingly impossible to live with that much melanated people on the planet, although they use melanin to stay alive. But the amount of melanated people on the planet, they was finding it increasingly impossible, because we understand that actually what was going to happen was, and like I said in these books, Mark Balfour's book, The Sign of the Serpent, and in that Vera Stanley Alder's book, The Finding of the Third Eye, and Mark Balfour's book, The Sign of the Serpent, Key to Creative Physics, is at a certain time in history, let's say around, they estimated it in by 1986, the original people, Kundalini and pineal gland would start waking back up after being laying dormant for centuries and for thousands of years. You would start waking back up. So just by you waking up, they could not live on the planet with that much of energy. It's killing them as it is right now. So what happens is they had to basically transfer the energy from one sector to the other, from this sector to the other sector, by basically killing you, and you would be in this dimension. But on the other hand, the energy, on the other hand, they could duplicate you on this dimension, and they could fool everybody by thinking that we still have the same amount of people here. So we're talking about the ultimate type of genocide there is, which was also predicted by Elijah Muhammad. I got about 5 more of those predictions left, where he predicted that in the future, for the people that want to purchase one. But anyway, this is another form of advanced warfare. Now you know the deal. If a sister's looking for a chair and she can't find one, first of all, see if you can find them. If she's looking for a chair and she can't find one, you know the step brothers, the 1-2 step, unask the chairs and let the sister sit down. But we got enough up front here for everybody so far. So now what we're talking about here is an advanced form of warfare, and they had to clean out a certain part of the sector because they could no longer live on the earth. But it doesn't really matter, because even this energy, you can't really destroy energy. So even though the energy is transferred and it's a part of you, it makes you stronger. So you got 3 times the amount of force in you than you have before. That's one reason why you are going through different types of changes. And the reason why you're going through these particular changes is because your physical body is the low level, but your spiritual body is now getting to the point that it is rejecting your physical body. Now let me explain this. What this means is, if you have a goal in mind, and you were an advanced incarnation that came back down here to be, at a period of time, or learn a certain amount of discipline that you can help your people. And 98% of everybody in here is that type of person. How many people in here want to know knowledge? First of all, raise your hand. How many people are interested in knowledge? If you're interested in knowledge and you love knowledge, for the simple fact, 10, 15 years ago, we would have had to been out partying somewhere. or in some church somewhere. But the mere fact you're sitting up in a damn classroom on Saturday night lets you know that you are an advanced soul. Because if you weren't an advanced soul, there's no way that you would accept this. You would reject this just like the average black person. So you agreed to come back in the future and help your people. What is happening, because now you have been sunk into slavery, or you have actually lost your mind and you now just regaining your memory, what is actually happening here is this. You had a contract that you needed to doggone fulfill, and you're obligated to fulfill that contract. So now what is happening is your higher spirit is the one that incarnated back down here. So let's say your higher self or your true self have a goal in mind. They want you basically to understand a certain amount of knowledge that is key for itself to wake up. Your soul wants you to understand a certain amount of knowledge that is key for your soul to wake up. But yet you have other agendas. And all of a sudden when you find these other agendas, no matter how hard you try, they seem to fail over and over and over again. You will understand that your own energy, your inward energy, is making a hostile environment around you, because it wants you to liberate it by giving it the keys and the nourishment that can make it grow and illuminate. You getting this? So what will happen is it will actually reject the physical body. And so everything around you will repel from you. You see? And you won't understand what is happening, why your job, why all this, and why all this here, and why I can't seem to do this, and why I'm a failure, and all of this, and you can't understand what the hell is going on. It is going on for the simple fact that your spirit's saying, I don't want that shit. I've been down here enough far through many incarnations for the bullshit. So I just don't want another life. I came back down here to do a certain job. So until this damn nigga finds out, we'll both have problems, to the point where as I will even bring him down to death so I can get the hell out of the body and just be a force myself. So this is what's actually happening right now. Why, as I guarantee you right now, most people that came into some type of consciousness, you're having money problems. That's guaranteed. Also, you got to understand, some of the other people who seem to do all right is the most dead. You see what I'm saying? You got some people that ain't about shit, but they don't never suffer about nothing. About like the white man. And some black people. That is because their souls are still too young, especially black people. We're talking about us now. Their souls are still very young. And at this particular time, by their souls being very young, they are still intrigued with this bullshit because they haven't gone through it enough. So they intrigued with all the physical bull out there because they haven't been here long enough. But you are, hopefully it's supposed to be you, no matter how much wealth you get, something is still wrong. Something is still not pleasing. And that is because don't negate your contract of what you're supposed to be doing at this particular time. And now the energy is actually rising up to take care of that and all. And we will deal with some, as we go on, we will deal with what is some form of mental alchemy to try to understand what is actually going on. Now, another thing, if you get there's a book that everyone needs to be reading right now and using. There's several books. First of all, the one book is called Phil Cooper book. Phil Cooper's book. And the name of that book is called The Magician. Magician, Phil Cooper. Everyone should get a copy of that book. Because there's a lot of magical books out, but they're very advanced, and sometimes they have a whole lot of intellectual stuff that by the time you get through the whole book, you don't even know what the hell is going on. And some of them, they write for people in the order of the occult, so they want the masses of people not to really tap into it, but they actually need the money to sustain whatever occult they're in. So therefore, they put out this particular material just to get money so they can do their job. But this particular book is one of those books that's cut and dry. It's called the Studies in Effective Magic, but it's called The Magician. And in that book, I think I mentioned it the last time, in that book it talks about You can't do anything, even on the physical plane, that's going to be convincing to you until you convince your subconscious that it is reality. Now, case in point, I got a friend, rejected knowledge for years. He just rejected this shit, didn't want to hear this thing. America's all right and all this. For years. So about 9 years later, recently, in about last year, the brother had another brother that a sister put roots on. And as a result, he understood that something that was going on that was miraculous because he grew up around it. So immediately he called me and said, you got a ritual, we can do this. I said, okay, fine. Anytime somebody calls, okay, fine. I gave him this ritual guaranteed to work, but the ritual didn't work. Well, first of all, the ritual didn't work because his own energy was going to be the energy that would cure the brother. You see? So therefore, because he didn't believe it, he was just getting the shit just in case. I'm getting the ritual just in case. And because he did not believe it, it didn't work. You see what I'm saying? Because his subconscious was the same old Negro. Until you convince your subconscious what's going on, it doesn't work. In this particular book, Phil Cooper's book, Effective Magic, is a very good book that you need to understand. Another book is Aleister Crowley's 777 and Other Kabbalistic Writings. 777 and Other Kabbalistic Writings. The book will throw you off because the first form of the book is breaking down the advanced Kabbalistic structure in how this particular Kabbalistic or the Kabbalah actually works. But the point that you want to get is you want to turn the book until you actually see on a page by itself 777. And you will see something called, you want to turn to the book until you see what is called the tables of correspondence. And it has every element in the universe, the gods, the stones, the zodiac broken down on number. And from those numbers you can line up things to understand more about yourself on a numerical value. As a matter of fact, Richard King used the book also when he wrote African Origins of Biological Psychiatry to explain melanin. That was one of the books Richard King used. In that book, at the back of the book, they have a whole bunch of numbers, and if you know how to tap into them right, you can hit the lottery. But then again, on another hand, it ain't time for that shit now, so therefore you might not be successful with it. But on the other hand, what is also happening is there's a part in that particular book, that has numbers. And the number 209, which was supposed to be Proposition 209, which is the affirmative action type thing that you cutting out and telling all these niggas that you through with this Proposition 209. We looked it up and it first said it was to reward a people. Which was what? 1964, 1965 Civil Rights Act. So the first one was to reward a people. The second one, it said to take away from a people. So we understand that the government was dealing with the esoteric knowledge in which they do, because they have all our information, when they would give a certain reward to us. That reward also, when it said 209, it said to reward, but it also said to take away. We understand that how certain things go about and how they use certain things in the occult realm. But that particular book is a very interesting book that you actually need to get and to line up certain amount of things that's actually going on. The movie Handmaid's Tale. How many people saw the movie Handmaid's Tale? Go back and study the movie Handmaid's Tale. I saw the movie in 91, a year after it was made in 1990. And in the movie they showed them putting black people on trucks and shipping them out into concentration camps. The information that has come down recently is that the footage they showed in 1990, in this movie, Handmaid's Tale, starring Robert Duvall. And what's the other woman name? But I know Robert Duvall is one of the people. In that particular movie where they show them, they call them the sons and daughters of Ham. And they showed them shipping them out in concentration camps or in the back of these trucks. And they had people in suits and all this, three-piece suits and all that. The information that has come down recently is that that was actually real footage of somewhere they imposed martial law on a town or a city in the United States of America, and they shot footage of them putting them in trucks and shipping them out, people of all walks of life, and put it in this actual movie. So that means that there's things that's actually going on with our lives that we don't even have control over, and when he gets through, we don't even remember. You see, case in point, like I said yesterday, go check the movie out, The Game. You see, very key that you understand that you check the movie out, The Game. At this particular time, with Michael Douglas, at this particular time, and I bring this call out because, first of all, I told you yesterday that the real love, because we didn't actually have the love that we think, the love that we think about, is some term that is blown out of proportion. It has nothing to do with basically what you think love is anyway. Because by you just being in love or by you loving people, like I said yesterday, either you have it or you don't. It's nothing that you can actually legislate or philosophize with. The European has to do that for the simple fact that he doesn't have love. So all of a sudden it becomes a form of a religion or some type of new high. But we understand that when you hear the ancient word love, it was talking about passions. You being real or you being true to form when it actually comes to something. So at this particular time, we have to make the call out for any conscious people. If you're a brother and sister and you're in consciousness, and you are a police officer, and I put this on the tape because I don't know if there might be some people up in here. At this particular time, you need to leave the force. And you can't just say, well, I got a job, I'm down. Because what happened was, brothers used to come to my lecture in Atlanta and say, well, I'm down. I'm a police officer, but I'm down. Well, how the fuck you going to be down? Because we don't understand that all military groups, paramilitary groups, and city type of national groups that are correctional groups, all a spin-off from some type of Masonic order that's equivalent to the Ku Klux Klan. Now we know that in all southern police forces is nothing but a spin-off under the same jurisdiction as the Ku Klux Klan. We understand that the Klan is just not a bunch of chewing tobacco niggas crackers that you see on TV. That's Hollywood. The Klan is an advanced Masonic form. We've even showed in the Crawley books that they took their uniforms from Europe, and Europe got them from Africa because the uniforms with the hat was introduced to the Europeans by the Moors. So that's a Moorish uniform or ancient Egyptian uniform, and if you get the book, Richard Noon's book, Ice the Ultimate Disaster, you will actually see them having initiations in there in one picture, and in that picture they have on the same uniforms. Now going back to what I'm saying is, the Klan is an advanced Masonic order, which actually started the Baptist Church in America, which is all under the jurisdiction of the Ku Klux Klan. So if you are Baptist, be sure to know, and I don't give a damn how black you are and how much you do the fried chicken, grease slide, hamburger eating damn ceremony, you are still under the jurisdiction of the Ku Klux Klan. Under the Ku Klux Klan, as well as all Southern police orders, and the Northern police orders are under a much more advanced type of clannish. It's still the same clan. You understand what I'm saying? But it's under a certain order. So now what we're dealing with here, we're dealing here with energies. If you're dealing with the spiritual part, you can't just choose to do some shit based on economics, because there's an energy that goes with that. And if you want to be in the right force, you can't choose the goddamn dark side. You see the whole Star Wars thing. So there's certain energies that go with certain things, and although you might say you down, you don't understand that you can't choose a certain side of that, because that side is doggone destructive to your people. And so therefore, the same souls that have died based on some injustices, and is being trapped based on some injustices, you are in that particular order. Now naturally, you wouldn't find any Jewish or European Jew, might I add, if he knew that his particular organization was a spin-off from the Nazi Party, he wouldn't be down with it. He or she wouldn't be down with it. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about not only saying I'm standing up for this and I gotta quit, but also doing research to try to understand whether your energy is the right way. And what we're talking about when we talk about this is you must, at this particular time, it's not an excuse no more to say, well, that's the brother's job. You know, you always wonder this on TV. Somebody come all fucked up to you and they go, he's just doing his job. Like the hell is that a damn excuse? Oh, he's just doing his job. Well, what the fuck is that? Where do we get this shit from? You see? So what we're talking about here, we're talking about neutralizing certain things that you can't front anymore and say, well, you know, hey, I'm just doing my job anymore. Because now we're talking about being true to yourself and your higher self, which is actually a battle with you. That's the battle that's going on. That's actually Armageddon. Yeah. Armageddon was taken from the Persian apocalypse, which, when you see the black seal, the white seal, the red seal, the white, the dragon, the green dragon, the black dragon, and all that shit up in there, it wasn't talking about the shit happening on the physical. It was talking about energy transforming in your body, and your body being a war with itself between the lower self and the higher self. And that's what it's talking about. So that's the actual war that's actually going on. And it's all fought out and it's all being judged based on your minds and how much you are sincere about this. And that's one of the main keys on what we're talking about here. We want to pay homage to remember the millions of black people that died in World War II in Russia. You know, Stalin supposedly had killed, what? How many? 12 million Russians. Now, he didn't, if you got one man killing 12 million people of the same race, you would get rid of that man. He's busting his office and kill his ass. You know what I'm saying? He'd have a coup every hour. But for the mere fact that he could reign for a certain amount of time and kill 12 million people is because they was having ethnic cleansing and genocide on the original black people of that area, the black Russians. You see. So they killed 12 million of these people and literally cleaned these people out. Same thing in Australia, same thing in Bosnia from 1991 to 1996. And once they cleaned them all off, then the government came in and said, you know, y'all stop this shit. Ethnic cleansing in Bosnia based on a group of ancient black people, the last remnant of black people in Europe. You see what I'm saying? So that's what a lot of that was, and we want to pay homage to that particular part at that particular time. Also, we realize that Marcus Garvey also said in a prophecy that he would return on his deathbed. Very key that you understand that. Now, what does that mean when he said, I will return? Does that mean he's going to return in the physical and have to grow up among people and might end up just being a nigga out on the street with a bull can in his hand? That's the chance you take by incarnating. It's talking about his energy being among us, as well as Nat Turner, Malcolm, and the rest. We're talking about a certain energy that used to permeate a certain sphere, now being back with us. So this is what we're talking about here, you see. Other than you waiting for somebody to incarnate. The energy is in you. You see. So when he said, I will return, that's a footnote to say, I have that type of energy with me, as well as all other warriors at this particular time, you see. Now, one thing we need to do to break into this, because we're going into advanced metaphysics, we'll deal with a lot of that today, is, the problem is, why we lose and why we do not understand that all of this shit can happen to us and has been happening to us for the last damn 10 or 15 years is this. They have us on a cycle of looking to the future. Now, I told you last night that black people have a 3-year attention span and then they delete their files. That's why you can't remember anything. Oh, even this is leaking. Well, let's move all this out of the way. Hold on 1 minute. They have a 3-year attention span and then they delete their files. And what that means is the reason why you can't understand the reality around you is you're looking into the future. The white boy deals with the now. You deal with the future. And if anyone knows anything about advanced science, the future is never here. Because the future is now. So you never get to the goddamn future. You just wake up one day and say, how the fuck I get so old? Why is that? Because the European knows to keep you slaves, he has to give you a goal. Here is you. He gives you a goal to look to. Once he gives you a goal to look to, he has created a void in between of time that you can be using by living day to day. You see? So we ask the question, how in the hell did we have all that in the 60s? And I saw a movie, Watt Stacks. Remember the movie Watt Stacks? Yeah. 1973. And I looked at every damn person in LA was conscious at the time. But how could they become conscious, was conscious in 1973, about 1993? Everybody did this shit. Children acting like fucking fools.
The value system?
Not only that, we must understand that they created this vacuum, forgetting, making you look into the future, and you say, well, all the fucked up shit, well, maybe my children will get us out of this. So I ask you a question. You are only an extension of what your goddamn mama taught your ass. And either she taught you well, or either you learned some knowledge some other place and found out my mom and my daddy didn't teach me shit. They were some dumbass motherfuckers. Either way, if you are acquiring some knowledge, they either put you on the path, or you got put on the path for some other way and found out that them motherfuckers weren't doing shit. So therefore, you can't forget that and think some damn child is gonna pick the shit up in 20 years. You see what I'm saying? It don't happen that way. So therefore, but why is that? Why do we say we'll just wait for the children to get it? Why is that? Because the reason why is because the simple fact that we are fixed on some fucking future shit. So right now, 98% of the black people say, oh, 10 years from now. I'll be like, goddamn, 10 years from now, and this fucked up shit. As mad as this world is, I hate to even think about it. I hate to even think of 2 days from now. But yet the white boy is oppressing our ass now. Now. So even the doggone revolutionaries used to say, we think a revolutionary, even though we know that we may not get there in our own lifetime. Well, motherfucker, if you're the one that's here and somebody gave you the knowledge now, how the hell you think somebody down the road gonna get it? The knowledge came to you now. It didn't come to the people down 18 years from now. It's coming to you. You see? And that's because the white boy has created this void in between. You got all this space in between this particular point. You see? And this is how he can come in and he can actually have genocide that's been going on where they can kill 12 million people on one program alone since 1990, and you don't know nothing about this shit. Because you still looking for the year 2000. So all of a sudden the cracker done came in and talking about the millennium. 2000 is 2000 my asses. The future is now. Right. And when we get into the time thing tonight, we'll try to understand a little more on what's going on. Go back and get the Star Wars trilogy when Yoda, when Luke Skywalker first found out that the little man running around there that he was talking to was the Jedi Master that had trained Jedi warriors for 700 years that he was looking for. And the first thing Yoda said, all my life I have watched you look into the future, never noticing what is around you. They say the force is all around you. In the Gospel of Thomas, this is the Gospel of Thomas, which is the books, one of the books that was dug up in 1945, which is the true saying of Jesus that they plagiarized from, which is totally different than the Bible. He said heaven is right around your ass right now. You just don't see it because you're drunk. And because you have been trusting on these two fucking eyes, there's a cheat, and so now you don't understand that heaven is around you right now. You see. They say, well, tell us about the end. He said, you'll know the end when you know the beginning. That's where the knowledge part comes in. You see. But anyway, the key is we always look into the future. And that's why we delete our files. We got a 3-year attention span. You ask them, what happened in 1991? Other than some key events that happened personally where my mama died, my daddy died. No, motherfucker, what happened in the world in 1991? Other than some key personal events, he would know shit. This is not just black people. This is what is called a postmodern society, and this is white people too. You see, this is the way they train us, and that's the cattle thing. Keeping you in the future. Especially, we got locked into that. Because the damn nigga done told you one day my children will walk hand in hand with some crackers. Fucking Martin Luther King, that idiot. Fuck him when he spit on his grave. Right. Take it or let it alone. White man, shit got real quiet. Fuck him. You don't understand a government conspiracy from the get-go. Now, wait a minute here. If I told you about this book, The Black Sun, last night, and they talked about all the shit here in World War II, and that means the government is advanced. You think that this conspiracy thing that you hear all this New World Order thing started 2 or 3 years ago? Hell, Bill Cooper said that shit started in 1775 in America, when America was started. So if they had conspirators that started in Bavaria years before America even started, why the hell you don't think that the 1950s and the 1960s would be an ongoing conspiracy when they showed you JFK and they killed his ass on the conspiracy? And the cracker was right on the damn movie. Go back and watch the movie. When the white boy was telling his wife, and the black woman was standing up, they had just killed Martin Luther King. And he looked at his wife and said, you don't think that and the Kennedy shit is connected? You see? It's connected. So right there we were talking about people that even to let him march down the streets in Selma, it was all a government plan. You got to understand that. Didn't Dick Gregory come and tell you that half the Jews wrote all this I had a dream speech and shit? Yeah. So if the Jews and all them wrote all this I had a dream speech, why the hell wouldn't he be fucked up? Like I'm proposing that motherfucker ain't shit. And that's how they rule our ass. Check? Y'all all right? Okay. Let's deal with some things. They came on TV about a month ago, 2 months ago, and they said that most males will have less risk of a heart attack if they give blood. What kind of shit is this? If you would have a less risk of stroke and heart attack if you gave blood. Now that's the key to let you know that what they're dealing with here is this whole blood drive thing. Trying to give your blood. Now when you go see the movie Gattaca, which is going to be one of the primary movies that you see, and I don't see, do they have that in the bootleg video?
Yeah.
You saw it in the bootleg video?
Yeah.
Well, because that's the end shit up here.
Gattaca.
So Gattaca. So that should be the primary function to try to understand, because you slept on extreme measures. Huh?
Everybody gave all that.
Okay, let's get into that right now, because I want to do that, because that's not on my notes, but I dealt with it a couple of months ago, so let's deal with that now. First of all, we understand that there is, and if any sisters out, anybody want to come in, remember we got chairs for the sisters out here. You know what I'm saying? Now, the hard heads can sit on the floor, it don't matter. So. The Betty Shabazz thing was this. They have a government policy that is dealing with the Heru and the Osirian drama, as well as Hamlet. Shakespeare took Hamlet from the Osirian drama. Hamlet is coming from the Osirian drama, which is actually Heru. So there's always the role of any hero. The role of any hero. I told you about a hero with 1,000 faces. You need to study the hero thing. Get this book. I'll show you this. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here. Y'all all right? We're going to slow down because we want to... The role of any hero. Here's a book called The Quest of a Hero. Edited by Robert A. Siegel. Robert A. Siegel. The role of any hero is that if you notice the father or the grandfather or maybe even the mother, some parent always gets killed and the child always comes back to avenge the father's death. That's the role of any kung fu movie you see. Because the father was either the master of the temple and their master got killed, and that they're getting that from the ancient hero myth in all cultures. All cultures. This book is coming from Princeton. Now, isn't Princeton an Ivy League? Is Princeton one of the Ivy League? So now, when you deal with the Ivy League, you ain't dealing with no bullshit here. You're dealing with the crackers that run things. So this Quest of the Hero book is coming from Princeton, which means not only is it the collegiate book of the Ivy League of the system, but we understand that the government has the Ivy League as its major universities in which it does its research through. So if in this book they have an outline of the Quest of the Hero, and we might read some of it today to tell you exactly what that is. One of them is when the father dies, just like the Heru drama, the son always comes back to avenge the father's death. You see what I'm saying? So, the government knowing this, at the particular time, understood that based on the Heru myth and based on what they have studied, and they understood because they thought that Malcolm X was the Christ.
Right.
They thought he was the Christ. They knew if Elijah Muhammad was doing this stuff and saying this particular strange mythology, that they happened to look in their same esoteric doctrines and get. Now, how the hell he gonna say the white man the devil? Which they got the same shit out of there coming from the people from India told them this, and Tibet. They got scripts of Tibet on how the white man was created. So Rudolf Steiner translates some of these scripts from Tibet and India and put in his book Atlantis and Lemuria on the white man being the devil and created. And then his best friend he hung out with, his contemporary of that day, which was H.G. Wells, wrote The Island of Dr. Moreau based on the Yakub story. Which you got to go back and study The Island of Dr. Moreau. Because his last product was a little white girl, which was a step down from that little monkey boy. You get the thing, how many people saw the movie. And they always get their best actor to play that. Marlon Brando. So now, based on this particular information that came out of the libraries that they had accumulated all this particular information from the last 130 years, they knew, or they thought for some reason, that Malcolm X was the Christ figure. If Elijah Muhammad could talk about, know this particular information, this man come out, ain't scared of no crackers, just talking shit. They knew that the farm boy, they can manipulate him at the time. I'm talking about, the whole civil rights movement. So they thought that Malcolm X was the Christ. Even in their book, The Judas Factor, they said that they worked night and day to destroy the Nation of Islam because of Malcolm. They were scared of Malcolm X. And even to the point that they realized that Malcolm X never did say anything about he changed his mind based on Islam. He just made one observation that maybe if the cracker converted to Islam, he might be able to behave himself enough that we might have equality. He never said nothing about I've seen people, you know, this old bullshit that Spike Lee put out. But anyway, nevertheless, they worked around the clock because based on their analysis, they got people that listen, they came on TV about a year ago and they said, we got a problem. We got a budget here before Congress that we're trying to cut, but they never did cut it. We just want to know how is it that the government can spend $1 billion a year just on research, or what they call historical or heritage research. That goes up under this whole shit about they got to know everything. So therefore, by them studying around the clock, they figured that Malcolm, to put just a long story short, they figured that Malcolm was the Messiah. So when they took Malcolm out, you see, they already knew in the script that, well, hell, if there's any boys, well, they figured, well, he didn't have any boys, he had daughters, so they figured, well, maybe that Malcolm is the only Messiah, and if we take him out, then maybe we have it. But he had girls, so they didn't worry about that. But what happened was this. You got to understand that the grandson was born 20 years after Malcolm died. Malcolm died in 1965. The boy was born in 1985. Now, if you know anything about cycles and you calculate like the doggone government does,
20-year cycle.
in 20-year cycles, they say, wait a fucking minute here. This boy is what, 15? So by the year 2000, what would he be? 20. Now that's a right old age to get some shit started. You see? So they said, hey, wait a minute. We got to kill the boy. So the first thing they did was, they got the daughter. Cloned her. Y'all better deal with this shit in reality. Ain't no shit about they can come and know. They straight up come and get your ass, get your blood, and get a new one in the house as quick as possible. And then implant it, and they can manipulate it to do what the hell they want. So they got the daughter, she hanging around with the white boy and the whole shit with that. So they say, well, we're going to get the daughter. If we get the daughter, put her in jail with the whole Farrakhan thing, you know. If we can do that, then maybe we had it. But Farrakhan and the rest of all the crew jumped in and said, oh, we know this is a conspiracy. And the Black People Energy iced that program. But on the other hand, they said, wait a minute, Betty. We done had your ass in the pocket. We had you saying the last damn 10, 15 years that Farrakhan was in on it. Now all of a damn sudden, we got this motherfucker gone, dead to rights. We can hook up your daughter and get her ass out. You gonna come up here and run your damn mouth? And gonna say, hey, now you backtrack and say, no, he ain't did the shit. Or, hey, no, I ain't none of that kind of stuff. My daughter in trouble. So, okay, then, we see how the game is on your ass. Okay, we gonna get all y'all motherfuckers. You see what I'm saying? So, we don't know whether the son did it all, because like I say, Betty even said that she saw somebody else in the room. There's a whole lot of discrepancy, because you can't believe nothing on the news. But the point of the matter is this. In some kind of way, she turned her back on them. And I just don't have no problem. I have a problem. I go into the shrine, I go into the Soul Vegetarian, which is owned by the Black Hebrew Israelites, the one Ben Armin and the brothers that's over there in Israel, and I go in the Soul Vegetarian, and she's sitting up in the Soul Vegetarian in the middle of the black community, and a whole bunch of white motherfuckers around her. I fuck that shit. It's the wrong energy. I don't give a goddamn. Damn that shit. You ain't never got that bad. You can bring all these practices up in the black community and shit, and you think it's cool. No, fuck that. You see. But that's another damn lecture. My point is, some stuff went down, it was all to get the son, because the son might have fulfilled the prophecy. You see what I'm saying? And they were thinking that, hey, we're looking for the Christ all over the planet. Maybe the son of Malcolm that we slaved might be the one, because the scripture always talks about the Messiah rising up and avenging his slave or his slain father. In this case, the grandchild is the same thing, because in the hero book, it talks about either the grandfather or the father. It's talking about that lineage and that seed. So whatever the deal is, they had to doggone take them out. Now let me show you how we got to start thinking on another level. Immediately, when she got all grown up, first thing they had black women and all praying, hoping that she could get better. You got to start thinking on another level. My spirit said, Lord, I pray that she dies.
Yes.
The woman ain't had no fingers, no lips, all broke the fuck up. It's bad enough being down this shit in a full size in a normal black body. Why the hell? See, that's our own selfishness. We want her to live, and we don't want her to die for the simple fact that we can't deal with it. Right. Now remember, when she goes to the other side, she's in peace. Y'all, then death came, and suddenly there was that peace. You even see the shit off, he's in a better place now. Well, what if he's in a goddamn better place? What the fuck you doing crying? Right? So immediately I said, no. First degree burns, grafted skin. They say every damn plastic surgeon, new damn silicone, whatever, flew to her bedside. So let's get it, pick this nigga with every kind of technology we got. And I'm looking at this and my spirit was saying, man, I hope this woman died. They got people with visuals and all that kind of shit. And even the way the children dealt with it when she died, that in actuality, that's what was supposed to happen in the first place. But we want to keep people here. But the simple fact, we don't understand what death is. And that's our own doggone hang-up. It happened to me, it was a brother I knew, got shot in 94. Went to the funeral home to see the brother back in my hometown. I'm standing over the casket, and she getting challenged saying, man, you can get the body, you can bring this motherfucker back to life, but you can do that if you know what you're doing. And I was there because there's one, I'll tell you a story. There's one in India where a little boy got hit. He got shot. What happened? He got hit by a car. He had a yogi master that he was an apprentice for. He was on the way to the store for the yogi master. He got hit by a car and died. 2 or 3 days later, they had the funeral. Everybody in the church crying, and the yogi master come to the damn casket, snatch the motherfucker up, set him on his foot, say, didn't I tell you to bring your ass back from the stove? And the man was alive. So now you can do that. And when I was over the casket, I said, wait a minute, I can do this shit. I said, I can do this. I said, I got all this knowledge now, I can put this shit to use. I can do it. And right then his spirit came and said, man, what in the fuck you think I want to come back down to that motherfucker? Are you out of your mind? Some nigga done shot me over some crack bullshit. You think I want to come back and join that shit? Are you crazy? I'm in a motherfucking penthouse, chilling, with some babes. And you think I want to come back into that bullshit? I said, oh, damn, my ego got the best of me at this particular time. I understand exactly what's going on. I'm trying to use the experiment to get you back down here just to see can I do the shit. And I didn't ever consider it. Maybe you didn't want to come back down in this fucking hellhole. It is called hell. The ancient word for hell is Hyle, and Hyle just meant the physical level, or the physical body, which is excrements, sacks of excrement, or basically living sacks of shit that the soul is trapped into. We'll get into that. Which is the most defiled thing in the universe is the human body. People say the body is the temple. No, the temple is on the inside of the body. The physical body is the most defiled thing on the universe. Sacks of excrement. Trap souls up in there. God souls. We'll get into that in a few. But anyway, going back to this, They got the mother so that they could get to the boy. And God knows where he is now. They probably killed him as soon as they got in there, because like I told you, upon entering any prisons now, it's automatic death sentence for anybody to go to prisons. It's just that they can duplicate the body. This is the reality and real deal shit that's going down. And I'm not just talking about theories. I'm talking about people that they actually duplicated. It's my good friends. So this is one thing that why I talk about this clone thing, because it's personal. You see, it's personal. Duplicated these good friends of mine and all. Don't know their ass from a hole in the ground now. But anyway, going back, let's deal with some things. So now, you know some stuff that's actually going on. You got Scottie Pippen, marry a white woman. All these people love him, and he's jumping around with ball and all this stuff. He married a white woman. But then again, on the other hand, since when has we as a race of people ever looked for a motherfucker who put a brown plastic ball through a hoop as being anything virtuous in the first time? That's the problem that we have. That's the dilemma, is a person that plays for a living is a joke on a cosmic scale, whatever. Fuck a sports figure. Give a damn how much money. That's why the cracker pays in that money. Pay you to be a motherfucking child. And like I said, past 12 years old, ain't nobody should be bouncing no balls. I know you love the shit because you programmed like this shit. If you was an ancient man, you would say, this is silly. This is really stupid. You see? But we programmed that way. So, you know, hey. So now, deal with some things. I mean, you got about 7 movies that came out just ignorant. Here's the white boy that wrote Fifth Element. Anybody, how many people saw the Fifth Element? You know that was written by a 15-year-old white boy? 15-year-old white boy in France that can write something that you, as conscious people, can analyze. That ought to let you know the level on which they're on in us. Sit around here wondering if the damn Egyptians were black or the Canaanites were black. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, this 15-year-old boy can write this particular movie. And then, not only that, can actually put this thing out and people go and pack the theaters. And now this is the standard of movies up until the year 2000. That's their estimate. That they're going to deal with things on the paranormal every month at least. But yet, they funded these foolish movies, How to Be a Player. You see what I'm saying? And Soul Food. Oh, it was a good movie. Yeah, right. It was a good movie. So what? So what? Watch Sanford and Son. Fuck it. That's free. The key is, Soul Food was a good movie, right? But you must understand, they did a survey for tell the black woman or the black man, are you going to see Contact? No, I ain't going to see that shit. You see, you ain't into what it is. Time is out for the foolishness. Don't you know that they came to the Academy Awards this year, and as a result, none of the American films hardly got any awards because they're saying that white people are saying now, not the idiots, you got a lot of idiots out there. I'm not talking about them, I'm talking about a group of white people that run the country saying, we are tired of movies that don't challenge us intellectually or spiritually, for what little spirit they have. So therefore, we want movies that either make us think if it ain't spiritual, or we want the shit that we don't see normally. So therefore, that's what the agenda is for all movies now, you see. But yet, we still up in here with this bullshit. And the white boy done abandoned all that. Just something that you need to know at this particular time on what's actually going on. So now, let's deal with some things. I told you that in this particular book here, The Black Sun, there's some things in here about mumia. And mumia was how white people used to eat the mummies. And they actually would get rejuvenated and revitalized. And I should have got somebody go get me some tissue out of the bathroom. You know, this light is hot. And all. Or some of the brown stuff or whatever. Yeah. That's by Peter Moon. It's called Black Sun. And they used to actually be revitalized. That is actually vampirism, and that's the vampirism of what they was talking about based on vampires. That's what they were actually talking about. That's what they were actually talking about. And so when you see these white people talking about vampires, and I've said this before, they're actually talking about eating melanin. And basically, and that's what they're talking about. And so whenever you see that, you know what's actually going on at this particular time. Okay, let's wipe off a little bit. And we got a lot to cover, so don't worry about that. We understand that the white ball was experimenting with LSD. With LSD. I just wanted to get that all off or whatever. It started leaking. The white ball was experimenting with LSD. And as a result, this is the closest he has gotten to tapping into some melanated form of existence from the 60s, where they were very hurt after they shut down the whole LSD trip for them. Also, especially got Timothy Leary, who died recently, that never forgave the government for shutting down all the LSD experiments because they didn't want the amount of, see, when they shut down certain things, it's not like the government doesn't experiment with it. They just have a group of elite people, the Illuminati, say, no, we got research that's going on secretively. We don't want the main public to understand what the hell is going on. So, but anyway, we even found out that LSD is the main thing that created this whole Microsoft and this Bill Gates shit. You see, this whole Bill Gates thing, which we know now that Bill Gates is considered, number one, he's in his early 40s. He's early, is it late 30s?
I'm 35.
Huh?
I'm 35.
No, he's older than that. About 37 or 38. Okay, yeah. Now we know that this Bill Gates is actually acting as he is the Messiah for the European based on a New Age Messiah or a computer Messiah. He is the Messiah for them. As a matter of fact, you got to go back and look at the movie The Net. And the whole shit was based on something called the Gatekeeper. That's Bill Gates. The Gatekeeper. That's Bill Gates. So you need to study the movie The Net again and find out what's actually going on, because all the shit that was going on up in there has something to do with Bill Gates, which is a form of the Messiah for them. That's why he came down to Atlanta this summer in June and gave the Atlanta University about $8 million. You see. Gave them about $8 million for some computer research. You see. So he's basically the Messiah that they're actually talking about at this particular time. That they're actually talking about. And so you need to go back and look at that particular movie. You know they have genocide. They had an HBO special and they had genocide. It's still on the hard copy. You know that they had HBO special and they actually have a mass genocide right now in Kansas City. They had an HBO special that came on about 2 months ago. And they got brothers dying in Kansas City like 2 and 3 a day. Now, when they say 2 and 3 a day, you know that it's a lot more than damn 2 and 3 a day in the type stuff. So they have the actual genocide going on. And anyway, you can get that HBO special that's actually talking about that. I told you before that it's time for you, and I said this the last time, to this great knowledge that you can go and study the Greek myth, because the Greek myth was a group of black people. The original people who started Greece was a group of black people called the Etruscans. And lo and behold, I said that a couple of months ago, and I've been saying it for the last couple of months. The Etruscans started both Greece and Rome. And now there's a book out on the Etruscans. And I didn't get the name of the actual book. I didn't write the name of the book down. But there's a book out on the Etruscans. So this is more research for people that's historically minded to go get it. They sell it. I saw it at Barter's bookstore. And if you go to any historical section in these bookstores, you might be able to get that book. But this is another thing we say, we're just uncovering history of our particular people. But the key was, they got some stuff called runes. Anybody know what runes are? Runes are these divination systems that supposedly came out of Europe. But when we ask, well, where did they get it from? The channel came say something by some way of Egypt or Kemet. And what the real deal is when I got this particular book on the Etruscans and they showed the Etruscan writing, it was the same writing that was on these runes were on the Etruscan writing. So that means that we're talking about a group of black people that even traveled up into Europe at that particular time. So I'm proposing also that you start working with the runes. If you go to Barnes and Noble, they sell them real cheap, and you can get the box and the whole set. So start working with the actual runes at this particular time also. At this particular time, there's no such thing as secrets no more. What I mean by that is the only reason why this so-called Masonic stuff was even kept a secret is not because we didn't have secrets in ancient African society. We had ancient spiritual systems that we went to learn spiritual knowledge. So the so-called secret societies that they're talking about, they had to have secret societies in Europe because after the Moors came up and taught the cracker, they had a fight against the doggone Pope of Rome and the Inquisition, and if they didn't keep stuff secret, if they didn't keep stuff secret, what would actually happen is they would get killed. So all spiritual stuff in Europe had to be sworn to secrecy. So it don't mean now that in this particular time that you think you got a certain amount of knowledge and you keeping shit secret. You're supposed to be sharing it. Because the real mystery is there are no secrets. There are no secrets. Everything now is put out because it's prophesied that it would actually be put out at this particular time. There's never been a time when this much knowledge has been on the planet. But the reason why this particular knowledge is on the planet is because the government who put all this knowledge out realizes one thing, that at this particular time they can't even hit a person over the head and get them to receive the knowledge if it ain't talking about money. Now to go into some Kabbalistic mysteries, and we got a lot of stuff, so don't worry about it. We can still get warmed up. The Kabbalistic mysteries is, or the Kabbalah mysteries is, that you got 5 books of Moses. And the 5 books of Moses is called the Torah. But the 5 books of Moses, each book represents a certain element. Earth, fire, air, water, and the physical body, which would, or the spiritual body inside of the physical body, which would be the 5th element. The key here is that the Torah, which I'm going to get into when I go into this 37 negative confessions, because we got to get into this whole moralism thing. The key here is that the Torah is talking about here, each one is a certain element, and a certain element exists inside of you. And we're talking about melanin. So the 5 books of Moses is actually the 5 elements of melanin, or the process of melanin. That's the main key. And like I said yesterday, because they had to go and give a person a certain moral law, that was an animal person, that don't mean that it has anything to do with you. You have the book on the inside of you. You see. So we're talking about the elements. So also going back to what I said yesterday, you don't need to be doing anything on a moral thing as far as worshiping anything at this particular time. Your worship is in the form to understand who you are on a high level. You see what I'm saying? So you also have the Torah, which is also the 5 books, is also the Akashic records. And the Akashic records is the melanin inside of you. And it tells you that in the last days these books will be open and you will read from these books, and if your name is not in the books, you'll be cast in a pit of fire. And that means the Akashic records, which the word Akash in India means the black. So the Akashic records or the black records is the melanated records. So therefore, if your name is not in the melanated records, it means that you don't have melanin, so therefore you be cast in a pit of fire. You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about, this is what the Torah, as well as the so-called Bible, is supposed to mean, as meaning it is a records that need to be accessed from the inside of you, other than you reading the actual Bible. But if you do read the Bible, you're supposed to read the Bible as a form of reference to try to understand the accessing of those particular records. And before we leave out here, we'll give some esoteric Christianity doctrine that the people can go and read to try to understand an esoteric version of that particular Bible. And as a matter of fact, one of the best books is The Secret Wisdom of the Bible, 4 volumes. Breaks down everything in the Bible esoterically. Secret Wisdom of the Bible by Godfrey Hudson, volume 1 through 4, 4 volumes. Secret Wisdom of the Bible, that's the one that you actually want. By Godfrey Hudson is the one that you want. Secret Books of the Bible. That's and it breaks down that. Also, there's a book, Esoteric Christianity, by Annie Bazant, a little small book. Very key also that you actually get that particular part. At this particular part. It says in the last days that we will be able to read from the white Torah. Now what does that mean? That right there, it means that the Torah that they're talking about, of these so-called spiritual books, is not necessarily talking about the book, but the white Torah is talking about the spaces in between the words. If you got a page, there's spaces in between the actual words that is actually talking about reading the spiritual stuff that you can't see with the naked eye. You will be able to see in another dimension once those particular Akashic records open up. So that's the reason why you have the Vodun drum, or the voodoo drum, or the Bodun drum, or the African drum. It's not necessarily the beat, it's the spaces in between the beat. Because the spaces in between the beat, which you think is nothing, is actually something. And how do you hear nothing? A beat, if you take one beat and another beat after it, not only have you heard the two beats, but you've heard a pause in between, and that's the spaces in between the beat. You see? And that's actually spiritual.
Is that what white people don't have no rhythm?
Right. They can't deal, they can only deal with this dimension.
Right.
They can't deal with the spaces in between the actual beat. So therefore, that's why they're all thrown off. It's the spaces in between the beat, which is the main thing on what we're talking about here at this particular time. Now, let's go on. The white boy at this particular time understands that prophecy is catching up with him. There's something that was born on some reservations, in the Middle East sometime last spring. They had this red heifer that was born. Now, if you get the book of Enoch, and in the book of Enoch, they talk about this particular red heifer. And they say that in the last days, this so-called red heifer is supposed to be born. In the Native American, it's the white buffalo.
Right.
So we got two prophecies that were fulfilled. The Native American had the white buffalo that was born in 94, and the red heifer was born this year, somewhere in the Middle East. Now the problem is the fake Jew understands that these prophecies are catching up with his ass, and ain't shit happening to them. They get fucked up with the Arabs over there, messing them up. And ain't nothing happening to them, because even in William Brownley's book, The Gods of Eden, he made a joke saying that all these prophecies is coming down, but yet the so-called Jews that we see, ain't none of it being fulfilled around them. So now this fake Jew is into fulfilling the prophecy himself. So what he's actually doing is, the red heifer was born. It had a flaw on it. But they said that the heifer that was supposed to be born is supposed to be perfect. They didn't realize that it was perfect, because they was talking about its spiritual energy was perfect. So what they have done is gone down to Kansas City and have created a fake red heifer. And they say, now this is the one that is fulfilled the prophecy of us. Now how the hell are you going to go down and genetically create a fake red heifer and say it's the prophecy being fulfilled with us? You see what I'm saying? So now they are actually in the prophecy business at this particular time, because stuff is not coinciding with them. Also, we have to understand this. There was a part that happened in 1991 where the fake Jew went into Ethiopia and airlifted up some Ethiopians, the philosopher Jews, and they were saying in that type of thing that in actuality that we have fulfilled the prophecy, because one day the so-called Cushi, or the Cushite Jew, was supposed to come home. So here's another way where the fake Jew is actually trying to fulfill prophecies at this particular time, because the time is running out. We're going into the millennium or whatever the deal is, and ain't nothing happening to him, and he's still getting fucked up over there, and all his leaders dying. And like one brother from Lebanon told us, if the United States government was not in on the whole thing with Israel, they could take over Israel in 24 hours, the Arabs of that whole land. And they're not fighting Israel, but they're fighting the United States government. Very key. England and all of that type of thing. What we also need to understand is something based on the Nephilim. Now there's a book called Breaking the God Spell, dealing with the actual Nephilim. The other book is you're going to have to go to a comic book store, and there's another book, but that's where all the stuff is. There's another big book put out called the Nephilim. And in that particular book, it has a lot of science, but they say who the Nephilim are. They say the Nephilim, make sure that the Nephilim are people. You will find most of the Nephilim in jails now. But they said it's a lot more than just them being oppressed. Basically, they are rebellious in nature because they have been around long enough subconsciously to see different laws change over the years, especially with these damn white boys. So therefore, they are rebelling against the actual laws and stuff. On a spiritual level, they are rebelling against the confinement of their spirit not being able to manifest on a higher level. When we go into some ancient, some other metaphysical things tonight, we're going to break down certain laws that restrict us at this particular time. So let's go on. Moses anointed Aaron because Moses anointed Aaron. The Hebrew mythology, it was first an elaborate mythological system that was later on historicalized and turned into history. What is actually happening here is it was turned into actual history. So for every Hebrew character, it means that they never necessarily existed in history. So if you understand that, you can line them up with the Egyptian mythology. So Moses would be Tahuti in the Egyptian mythology. You got the staff of Tahuti, you got the rod of Moses. You see what I'm saying? You got the rod of Moses, which would be Tahuti also, is what it would actually be. Very key that you understand that. We're just going along, we're going to line up some things at this particular time, but I want to get through a couple of things right now on some Kabbalistic mysteries. The Jordan River that Jesus was baptized in is actually your Kundalini, because you are Christ and you're being baptized by the river, which is the flow of the energy of your Kundalini. You see, in the angelic realm of the Kabbalah, you're supposed to have 72 deities, and also you have 72 spinal cords, even though you levels of the spine, because you also have a frontal level of the spine, which is invisible, and the chakras line up on that. But you also have 32 levels of the spine, which in actuality you get your 33rd degree with, which is talking about 32 levels of the spine, which is 33 levels of the spine and 33 levels of actual consciousness, which has nothing to do with you going in some order and calling yourself a 33rd degree, when most black Masons don't even believe that the Hamites or the Egyptians even had anything to do with Masonry, because most of them don't even know what an Egyptian is. You see what I'm saying? So that's very key that you understand that at this particular time. I want to get into some other things right now. And that is, let me see here, the history of Hermetica. The Hermetic text is some text that was in the Library of Alexandria that was smuggled out. The Hermetic text, if you ever get your hands on it, you can go and get this book if you can get your hands on this by Walter, what's this guy's name? Hermetica. I think his name is Walter Scott. And in that particular book, Walter Scott's book, they say that the greatest thing that ever happened in the history of man is man was able to make a man. So it's in there, but it also says, right in the particular book, and I often wonder why the Afrocentric scholars would read certain material and then all of a sudden turn around and say that we still come from damn monkeys and apes, just like the damn white boy. Well, and in the material, the Hermetic material, it literally says that you got two races of men, and one of the races of men don't have a damn soul. Don't have an actual soul. And I often wondered, why is that? When I got the same books that some of the people, some of the same authors came and told me to get, and when I started reading this stuff, I found shit that was totally different. You see what I'm saying? That was totally different. That's very key, and I often wondered why that was going on. Going around, how many people saw this particular information on TV where they said that King Tut married his sister? It was on Discovery.
Sexual secrets from Pharaoh.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, they did this whole thing. They really didn't even go into that. But they were trying to find out whether the Egyptians or the Canaanites at that particular time, what race they were. And they dug up a particular mummy. They opened up the skull of this mummy because they said that usually the brain was removed. And the guy took his hand and felt around in the skull. And when he pulled it up, he said there's some black resin that's in the skull. Did you see that? Which was in actuality melanin is what they was actually talking about. But this is what it says here. It says, the universal genetic truth about the Egyptians, royals, using DNA from 3,000-year-old mummies. What does this mean for our own genetic future? Now, I don't know if I mentioned to you the last time, but what's actually really happening here is this. They are interested in this because they have museums all over the country. And they got museums all over the world, and right now there's a fight on to get the mummies that they haven't already eaten. So now they got this war going on that they're trying to recover the mummies. The reason why they have this war going on is because, based on DNA cloning now, they have already brought a certain amount of pharaohs back, to try to learn about ancient history, to try to carve out a niche to save themselves. So they have come and actually cloned and brought back a certain amount of pharaohs. It's interesting here because in 94, I ran up on a book in Barter's bookstore that was talking about this, but I was short on cash and the store was about to close. So I said, I'll hide the book, come back tomorrow morning and get the book. But for some reason, they must have was looking at me at the time, because when I came back the next day, the damn book was gone, and I never ever saw the book again. And it was talking about how they brought back Ramesses and they cloned Ramesses. The key is, there's only one problem about this. So now they're going in and they're taking these mummies and they're actually trying to bring them back to try to find information. The only problem is most of the pharaohs were honorary priests. They were in the mystery system, or what you want to call the educational system, but they were honorary. They were not high priests. So the information that they're trying to get, they can't get because you ain't never saw no damn high priest mummified. You see, and that's the key. They have different monuments on priests and different statues on priests, but they don't have any mummies on priests because the priests never mummified themselves, because they can look into the future and they probably actually understood what would actually be going on in this particular time. So they didn't mummify themselves. You see, very key that that you understand that particular information that's going on. But I want to stress that you can go to the comic book store and get this particular information on this book called the Nephilim book. It costs about $20, but it has a whole lot of information in it. Now, last night I want to go back into this thing because I want to get into some mental alchemy at this particular time. What time is it, first of all? 20 to 10? Okay, look, you want to take, I'll tell you what we want to do.
25.
You got, the people got food back there, so what I want to do is I want to, before we get rolling, I want to take a little break. You go back and you can utilize some of the stuff on the table. And then when we come back, I want to get into the main portion of the actual lecture, and so we can deal with this and don't have to break no more. But I don't want to do it, and then we we have to break, and the people got the stuff back there and all, and we don't deal with that at this particular time. So you do that, we're going to come back. We still got time. We got a lot more we need to deal with. We got to wait around for the alchemical portion dealing with the melanin that we need to understand on how you're going to access some things. Is, first of all, you need to go back and get the movie, The White Buffalo, done in 1977 with Charles Bronson. It was also put out by Dino De Laurentiis, who was the guy who also brought you Dune. He was the guy that produced the movie Dune. The movie was put out 100 years after the death of Crazy Horse, which is very spiritual because now this is 120 years after the death of Crazy Horse, which was another brother that fought in the struggle when we say the Native American whole deal. And we say that because you know that 98% of the Native Americans was about this brother here of color in the 20th century. Then all of a sudden, you start getting these particular white people now talking about their Native Americans and all. But if you go see any pictures of Native Americans starting around the turn of the century, they look like this brother here color. So that's very key that you understand that. But go get the white buffalo again, because you understand the prophecy of the white buffalo is also a spiritual prophecy that was also supposed to happen too. Also, we want to deal with one other thing too. Now at this particular time, what we need to start dealing with now is we got to start dealing from the heart chakra. Because the energy of Olokun, which is an energy that is now, Olokun is an energy, but also an Orisha that is supposed to be chained up under the sea. But it's a particular energy that would be released in the last days, and the energy would be dealing with undercurrent thoughts. So therefore it means also that you can't cloak anymore. If you're not real, it will show. You can't cloak or you can't doggone hide ulterior motives and undercurrent thoughts because the energy now won't allow that. And basically your own spirit now will tell on yourself because your spirit is actually the Olokun energy that is chained up, that is now back released. Very key that you understand that. The point I want to get into now, we're going into a whole nother rhythm this particular time. We're going into the science of the mind and what we actually need to be doing by another type of thought process. And that is this. That is this. Now, like I said, with this book, Philip Cooper, when you buy this book, The Magician, you're going to thank me. The one who want books that go through the no-nonsense. You see, they go through the no-nonsense and get straight to the actual point. But the point I want to deal with right now is I want to deal with sacred dance. If you ever see melanin, melanin is also called chaos. Chaos. And melanin looks like some stuff that looks like this. It's chaos. It's chaos. Which means that this particular energy cannot be put in a box. And when you try to put this in a box as far as trying to put it or name it or put it in one type of system, you kill the energy. And what I mean by that is our energy does not deal with one type of structure, fundamentalistic way of thinking or fundamentalistic way of looking at your higher self through religion. The moment you try to bottle the melanin or try to put it in one type of category, you lose the whole meaning of it for the simple fact it is that which cannot be named. And it is multidimensional. So what that means is we get into doggone debates on whether we Moorish, whether we Camite, whether we Islam, whether we Christian, whether we this, whether we that. That's because we were all that at one time. The key is because you were all that at one time, and you were something way more than that at this particular time. Because you were all that at one time, you must understand that to put it as a variation as 1 degree, I'm just a Moor, or I'm just Islam, means that you break it down and you don't understand the concept that you are even greater than all of that which came before. Now the key is that what we're dealing with here is this. When we're talking about understanding chaos, how can you put a name on this? It is that cannot be named. So therefore, the white boy understands that you get into the cultural argument on the different variations of what you want to call yourself and what you want to be as, and what you want to worship. I only want to study this one discipline. Well, the white boy realized, he said, hell, I didn't come from none of that. And ain't nothing on the doggone earth I invented. So therefore, I got to jump on all the people in the cultural baggages that separate themselves, arguing over who was first and what was this, and was it this group of black people, was it this group of black people, when you were unnameable and you got 1,000 different names of when you occupied the earth. So by him understanding, by him being an outsider, he studies it all. And that's how the melanin works. Soon as you just say, well, I just only study Egyptian. What the fuck is that? You automatically kill it. I just only study the Moorish thing. I just only study the Islamic thing. You automatically kill, which is melanin. So what it is melanin is a multidimensional type of energy. So therefore, the ancients knew that they would show you multidimensional types of deities for you to understand that it's not just this one deity. And what I mean by that is, the melanin is one. But just as it is one, it is not just one concept. It has different attributes. So therefore, to understand a multi-deity panel, what you call a pantheon, or you call polytheistic, is the great way the melanin works. To understand the different mythological stories is the way the melanin works. To shut it down and to start worshiping and to start saying, hey, it's all about being humble and being submissive in these particular, what you call organized religions. If you shut it down like that, you don't learn anything and you become stagnant. So therefore, these work better, the melanin work better on a multi-deity principle. You get what I'm talking about? Which means that you got to put all of it together and you got to study it all. Case in point, one of the keys which makes melanin function even better is dance. Now what the European has done recently, and he has come in and he has studied that every time you used to dance and get down, some of them would get sick.
Yes.
On the other hand, you used to heal yourself by dancing and getting down, and this was a system that you used to have.
Okay now.
So basically what he has done now is he has modified the music to even your rap music now has a slow tempo. You can't really dance to it. So you can't really release the energy. It's laid back. So you only got two kinds of music. Dance music and slow music. And the slow music is one of the really bad slow music. It's not the slow music of the 70s. With different range of orchestration. It's just a boom, tick, boom, tick. Which there is no music at all to catch on to. And it has a synthesized dry sound to it. As well as the rap not being music at all because it's a bunch of just cut up old albums from the 70s. Which destroys melody. In the concept that you think that the shit is the voice of the ghetto, they have changed that in the last 2-3 years. The only reason why you don't think so is because you're used to the shit. And you just get used to hearing something, that's all you got. But anyway, you used to dance, and the dancing would get in touch with the multi-deities or the multi-system of the brain. Now let me explain something to you here. You can understand this particular information. Dance is the most direct form of expression. For many native people, it is the direct access to the gods, or in this case, the deities. Because like the sister said that the word God actually it's a German deity with blue eyes and blonde hair. So we will say Netta, Neteru, Nephilim, deities. There's several names, you see what I'm saying, on what we would actually call them. Even the Titans. The Australian Aborigines, for example, enter into dream time through dance. This is the time in which the deities have lived and still live. So you have a higher self, for the lack of a better word, that are the gods that they're actually talking about, are the deities that they're actually talking about. And they used to live, which means you used to live on a higher plane. To get back to that higher plane, you have to go back into dream time because dreaming is reality. So therefore, in which they have created a world that still continues to do so. Through their dance, the dream time becomes the present. In dance, they experience the power of the spirit and ancestors. And in their movements, they reenact the deeds of these particular deities of which the myth of dream times tell. So what we're saying here is, they have come in and they have destroyed basically dance music. Whereas everybody is hip-hopping, but nobody is releasing the energy to get in touch with your multi-archetypal God self through the dance. The dance is the only time when black people could do a movement that is not calculated by science. Because there is no science to calculate some motherfucker going down a Soul Train line that'll do a movement that ain't nobody seen before, and he can't duplicate. You see? So we're talking about that's what melanin is. How can you put a name on dance? It just is. So on the other hand, it's the same thing when you're dealing with the deity system. The deity system has got to be multi-dimensional. So we just didn't have one God, Allah, that we bow down to. No, we had the 99 attributes of Allah that Muhammad knew about and actually told the people to worship the Allah thing, because Bilal was his motherfucking teacher. That taught him all the shit he knew. And ain't no goddamn angel Gabriel came and whispered no shit in his ear that he didn't already know, because his damn daddy was a Sufi Kushite Muslim, or at that particular time a Sufi Kushite, mystical person of Arabia. So now dealing with this particular thing we're talking about, we have to get into a form of nihilism, which means you have to go to a system of blasphemy to go against every structure that the American government and your thought of what you call religion has taught you. If it says one thing, you have to do the other, because that's the way you get the melanin to working. Because the religion we have had to bow down to, if you are the creator, or you are the deity, or you are the angelic most high beings, then the only way that you can understand to be the angelic most high beings is not to be worshiping the angelic most high beings, but to act as one of them. But every religion we've had is set against, as far as the organized religion where you worship, is set against you going back to your original nature. So therefore, what you have to do is, everything that's out of order is what you need to go to. Because order stops chaos. You bring order to chaos. Well, we brought order to chaos for a certain reason a couple of million years ago. But this particular realm is gone now, so we must disorganize chaos, which you're good at anyway. Disorganization. CP time being one of them. When we get there, that's just the way it is. You see? energy with the system or the way you have been trained to look at religion. You see what I'm saying? Oh, they used to worship many gods. No, they were only trying to define the one God, which is melanin, which is chaos, which is always moving. How can you define water? You just have to list every element in it so you can basically get a concept of what this particular thing is. You get where I'm coming from? And this is what we have to do at this particular time. We'll go back to that in a few minutes. I'm going to deal with some things in the Bible right now. Because in the Bible, that's going to be Genesis 32, 30, 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 25. So that's Genesis chapter 32, verse 30, 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, and 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 25, which it says that Jacob wrestled with the angel, or Jacob was one of the only people who saw the face of God. The face of God is called Penuel, which is pineal. But in the Bible, it will be Penael. Penael in the Bible. El means sun or star or the starhead ones. Pen comes from the word penis. Penis. You have two penises. Both man and woman can't get to God unless it's circumcised, but the woman don't suppose to have a certain penis down there, but the penis she does have down there is already circumcised. That's the clitoris. So she comes with the circumcised penis. The man has to circumcise his penis. The woman has a clitoris, which is a form of a penis. But they're not talking about the lower level genitals. They're talking about the higher level genitals that both male and female have a penis, which is the pineal gland. And an uncircumcised penis is the calcified pineal gland. So you're born with a circumcised penis. So when they say a pineal gland comes from pine cone, no. The pine cone, the penis was before the pine cone. So when they named the pine cone, they named it because it looked like the head of the penis. So pine cone or pine cone is later, but first you have penis, a penuel. So penis, so penuel, so what is the penis? The penis gives the seed, which is melanin. And in that seed is the cosmic substance that is the makeup of a star, stardust, which the star is L. Penuel is the pineal, which is the star penis, or penuel, which is the seed. You get the word seed, you get the word star, all that's talking about melanin. Penuel or pineal in the Bible is called the face of God. So the face of God is in you, which you're supposed to be understanding is not a God up there, but a God that is manifested down here, which is in your pineal gland, is the face of God. Go get the movie King David, 1985, with Richard Gere, where it said that only Moses and Jacob have seen the face of God. And his name was Penuel, or Pineal. His name was Pineal. Right there in the King David, 1985. Then study the life of the King David, because there used to be a mythological part, and King David is actually Horus and a form of Osiris that they put in another version. You see what I'm saying? But David, in the movie and in the mythos, slew Goliath, which is the giant, with a slingshot, but what really killed him? A pebble. Right? The mystery is metaphysical. Goliath means in actuality the artificial realm that we're stuck in. in the artificial government that oppress us. But you can't slay that government with a bullet because he got more bullets. You can win the battle, but you can't win the war. But you can slay him with a pebble. Well, what is the pebble? The pebble is a stone. And the stone is called a philosopher's stone, or the stone that the builders rejected will become the cornerstone. And the philosopher's stone is nothing but the breakdown of melanin. So when Goliath slew David, Goliath was slain by David by a stone. It was talking about David. The Star of David is two inverted pyramids. As above, so below. Which is the same as the eye of Hebrew, is the same thing. If you understand the symbology. Which is the same as melanin. Which is the star is in your head. The black dot is the Star of David. But he slew him with a pebble. It's a metaphysical alchemical or alchemical term of the philosopher's stone, which is a stone that is not just a stone that is on the earth like any other stone you find, but this stone has an extraterrestrial origin, which means it is made up of a composite that is not found nowhere on earth, but only found in the black woman and black man. A composite in the melanin. So it means that the melanin is made up of every composite on earth, but one composite that you can't find on earth is in the melanin. And in this case, it's a light particle, which is in the stone, which in actuality is a nuclear device that will blow up and kill everything on this realm that does not have the same energy of that which blows up. So it says in the Gospel of Thomas, heaven is like a mustard seed, which is inside of you. And the plant that my Father did not plant, or the weed that my Father did not plant, cannot be plucked up. Which means, if you are not with the seed, if you are not from that seed of God, then sorry for you, cannot be plucked up. So it's talking about the seed is inside the melanin, which means that we are somewhere that's not local from here. We're not local. We're somewhere, excuse me. We're somewhere in another universe and in another world, and we're about this big. But in this particular atom, or atom, or aton, same thing, atom, atom, or seed is a whole universe. Go back and see Men in Black. How many people saw the movie Men in Black? You got to see these movies. Especially here, it don't make no sense because you can go to the damn street and get the shit. The mystery of the Men in Black. You got your keychain. In the Men in Black, the whole mystery to the movie was this. They said what? They said that the universe is on Orion. Remember saw that? And Orion was a cat. And everybody was looking for the universe, but it was in a little ball on the cat's neck. And when the woman looked into it, it was a whole universe in a ball on the neck. That's exactly what's inside of you. There's a little black dot that's smaller, is housed in the melanin. The melanin is the triple blackness of space, or carbon, that's inside of you. But it's black, but in it is one little small seed, about the size of a grain of salt. And in that seed is about the size of a grain of salt. Inside of that little seed is a whole other universe where the real you are, because that is the real you. And what has happened is these two eyes have come in and is setting before the real you and magnifying this bullshit. And that's when they say, we used to be gods and we used to be the entities until the giants came, which means now this illusion is magnified and it's blown shit up, and you can't see the real you or the real world because of this shit here is taking the place and covering it up. The veil. But you are in a seed somewhere in another dimension, and you are dreaming from this seed out into this particular dimension, and now you stuck thinking that this shit here is reality when you over here. But this particular seed is the most powerful thing in the universe. It's Sirius beat. That's your spirit. It's the most powerful thing in the universe. And it's an atom. And this atom, once activated, can blow up everything that is not of the same origin of this matter, of this atom. So therefore, that which is not in the same origin of you will have to be eliminated from this particular seed. That's the role of alchemy. We'll get back into that particular part. We just got to think, change the way of what we're dealing with this particular time. The Ark of the Covenant. The Ethiopians built a physical chest that was in Ethiopia that they got from the mysteries of Osiris or Asar, which is when Osiris was cut up, or Asar was cut up into 14 pieces, but at first, and thrown into the catfish, thrown into the Nile, and the catfish ate the penis. You gotta go and read the mythology. Before that, when they first killed him, they shut him up in a chest and nailed the chest shut and threw the chest into the Nile. First of all, they invited him to the Last Supper. The original Last Supper was when they had a party and they invited Osiris to the party, and then they killed him. And they also do it in some certain mythological Shakespearean plays, as well as some other things where they invite a person to a party and kill him.
Mafia does that too.
The mafia does it. Give you the kiss of death. But anyway, in this particular chest, they shut his body up in this particular chest. And they floated down the Nile. The ancient priests in Egypt, or HEMMITT, used to build this particular chest of Osiris. The Hebrews, because Moses was a defective priest from the priesthood of Osiris, or Osir. You can get the book Moses, Pharaoh of Egypt, by Ahmed Osman. Ahmed Osman. You're gonna have it. It's put out by HarperCollins book company, but they have also a international label. I can't think of the name of it, but it's Moses, Pharaoh of Egypt. Also get the Moses Mystery. The Moses Mystery. That's real popular right now. But he was I can't think of the guy's name. Moses Mystery. But anyway, the chest, they used to build this chest in HEMMITT. The Hebrews learned how to build this chest. Now it's interesting because the white boys followed the direction on how you build this so-called Ark of the Covenant in 1967. And they actually built one at the University of Chicago, and it started thundering and lightning and shit. And the United States Army rushed in and made them tear it down. But the key is, if anybody go and see the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the movie, Steven Spielberg studied the occult. You will see the chest. Oh, I can get it straight. You will see the chest. Let's say it's the chest, which is the chest of Osiris, which is the same Ark of the Covenant. And on the chest, you will see two angels with, let's see if we can get this right. Two angels with their wings on the chest. Anybody saw this movie? Or anybody see the Ark of the Covenant?
Yes.
These two wings are the wings of Ma'at. You ever see the goddess Ma'at or Ma'at? And you see the two wings? These are the wings also of Ma'at. They're showing that this particular chest came out of Egypt, or HEMMITT. But it also means this. The power that is in this particular chest is also in you, because the wings of Ma'at also appears on the staff of Tahuti. The same wings of Ma'at on the staff of Tahuti. But in the middle of the staff of Tahuti is the black dot, which is melanin. So this particular chest equals this particular black dot. This is the true Ark of the Covenant, which has the power to God, the power of God. And as long as the Hebrews, along with the Egyptians or the chosen people, had the Ark of the Covenant, they were invincible. But the reason why we're not invincible is because we suppress this melanin. But as long as you utilize the melanin and you utilize it through thought, we'll get into that in a few minutes, you are invincible. Invincible. So the Ark of the Covenant, Ark is also the A-R-K. An ark is also a ship. A ship. Or, if you turn it upside down, a vessel. The white boys talk about spaceships, but you got the original ship, which is the black dot. That's you. That's what the ship is. And some of the things you see in spaceships is actually us as entities that can take on any form. So this is also called the Ark too. So the Ark of the Covenant is also the black dot. Is what it's actually dealing with at this particular time. So now, dealing with some other mysteries, we got a lot to cover. It took them 500 years to produce and put together the complete story of Jesus. It says that what people know about Jesus is different than what is the really scholarly view about Jesus. The entire Bible has less than 2% of the teachings on Jesus, period. So that means, in actuality, you know that the book was borrowed from somebody else. When half the book is less than 2% on the whole teachings of Jesus. But yet the Christian is all in love with Jesus because he don't understand the science behind it. The science behind it. Now, we're dealing with symbology here tonight before we go into the other part. This is real crucial that you understand this in the Egyptian symbology. Try to understand this. It's another. In Egypt, or in Kemet, you have 3 pyramids. 3 pyramids. Also represent the 3 stars in Orion's belt. The center star in Orion's belt is Sirius. In Orion's belt. Also representing 3 planets. The 3 planets is Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Also represents Aset, Isis, Horus, Heru, and Osiris. So for the Greek translation, it would be Isis, Osiris, and Horus, the first Trinity. So, this is Heru, Horus, in the middle pillar. This is Isis or Aset. We'll just put Isis. Or Aset. We'll just put Aset. Let's put Heru. Aset. And Osar. You are Asur, or you are Asar, which is and it also represents the mystery. How does this break down with us? The mystery of this is, I said Isis represents the pituitary gland. Osiris represents the hypothalamus gland or region. And Heru, which is light, represents the pineal gland in the brain. And between the conjunction of these three, you get the illumination of the middle pyramid with the capstone in the middle of the middle pyramid, which is Heru, which is both Aset and Osiris and Isis combined into one, their offspring, which is in you. In the Christian symbology, this would be transferred to 1 cross on Calvary, 2 crosses on Calvary, 3 damn crosses on Calvary.
Oh, my.
That's what this shit is. The 3 crosses on Calvary represent the 3 pyramids that you have visually. So you can't find no damn crosses nowhere in the motherfucking Middle East. The only thing you can find is a goddamn pyramid. And from this pineal gland, the 3rd pineal gland, you also have Mars, which is Horus, Saturn, which is the black planet, which is Iset, which is Isis, and Jupiter, which is the light bringer, which is Osiris. Gives reign to the god Mars, which is the god of war. But the mystery to all of this is the 3 stars on Calvary, the 3 pyramids, the 3 planets, and the 3 stars of the Orion belt give rise to one thing. In front of the Egyptian pyramids, you have the Sphinx, which is Horus on the horizon, which is the true Christ of the world, because we got evidence of this goddamn Christ, and we ain't got no evidence of the other shit that was stolen from it. Which is your symbol, which is a symbol of melanin, which is in you, which makes you the Christ. But the Calvary and the 3 stars is the same thing. Which also in the Kabbalistic, you got the Kabbalah, at the top of the spear of the Kabbalah, you got down 3 spears. At the bottom of the Kabbalah, but the top one is the 3 spears. Which is Keter, which is Horus, which is Binah, which is Isis, which is Saturn, and then you have the universe here, wisdom, Hakma, or Shakma, which is actually Osiris, wisdom of Osiris, or Osar. These are the mysteries of what they're actually dealing with at this particular time that you must understand. But in the movie, The Men in Black, they showed this little ball around the cat's neck. And they said that the universe was on Orion. Well, the universe is on Orion because that's the doggone Sirius star system, which is a binary star. You got Sirius A, which is the brightest star in the sky. Now, everything out there is nothing but a hologram of what's going on down here. You just don't understand that. Everything that's going on down here is a hologram. Up there that you see is a hologram of what's actually happening down here. So you got the brightest star in the sky, which is Sirius, which is Greek for Osiris, but Sirius also. It's also Isis, it's also Aset, it's also Anubis. And what it means is all the gods come from Sirius, which is another dimension other than getting in a spaceship traveling here. You must understand. When we get into question and answer, we can entertain a lot of these things. So bring them back up in question and answer. But the key is, you have Sirius, which is the brightest star in the sky. Then you have Sirius B, which is the smallest thing in the universe, which travels around Sirius A every 50 years. In actuality, there is only Sirius B. Sirius A is the brightest star, is the illumination of Sirius B. Just like you have a black dot on the inside of you, and when it illuminates, you have a crown chakra. So Sirius A is only a reflection of Sirius B. So in the movie, they said the universe was on Orion's belt, Sirius, because everything is in this particular dimension, Sirius, because the whole astronomical thing that you learn in school has nothing to do with how the real universe works. The real universe is called a magical universe, and that's only a hologram. And the white boy tried to explain that based on space and time. There's no such thing as space and time. You'll understand that in a few minutes when I get into the time thing. But the key is, they said the universe was on Orion's belt. And then Tommy Lee Jones had to go shake down this little dog to find out what the fuck was going on. And the little dog was an alien. He said the universe is on Orion's belt. He said, what does that mean? So what? What does that mean? He said, you earthlings, you think that everything that's important has to come in a big size. It's got to be big. The big ain't nothing but a hologram. That's a manifestation or an emanation of something that is smaller or something that is unseen is so small, which is the unseen real, which is the real shit. White man put out a book called The Black Goddess and the Unseen Real. Stayed out about 2 years and ain't been out since, in 1988. The Black Goddess and the Unseen Real by Peter Redgrave. Came out about a year. Went the first run, they took it off the market. Because he says up in there that the black man and black woman observes nature. And then they can learn from it because the nature was put here, or anyone that created it. So, but the energy that's put into nature is there for them to learn how to rule nature or how to coexist with nature. The white man has to dissect and cut up because he don't understand shit. Always cutting up. Instead of just looking at the damn movements, you can find out all the shit you need to know. And it's talking about the unseen real. He was talking about the triple blackness of space, which is actually a feminine element. It's the material of the womb of the universe. Now going back to this, he said, you little fool, you think that everything got to be in a big size. And the guy, so Tommy Lee Jones say, so what? Okay, I agree. What's the big deal about this little shit around the cat neck? He said, you don't understand. He said, that little ball around the cat neck, which represents the little black dot inside of you, is the greatest type of subatomic energy. Which means that this greatest type of subatomic energy is fucking melanin, and you walking around with the goddamn shit. And you can blow this whole thing up, but you don't know what the fuck to do. Because you think that the physical body is you, and it ain't got shit to do with you. You see what I'm saying? Go and study the movie. He was talking about the little thing around the neck on Orion's belt, on the cat's neck, was the black dot, and it's in you. But in the movie, he turned around and he said, I've been in the business for a long time, kid. I'm turning it over to you. And he turned it over to Will Smith as to say, we getting the fuck out of this shit. We gonna let the black man have back the planet because we don't know what the fuck to do. If you think I'm lying, they did the Spawn movie. The guy who was supposed to have kept the evil forces from coming in, from ruling or really taking the earth, he said, for 400 years, he said, I'm giving it up. This is all for you. And gave it to the black man. They relinquished the rights and gave it to the black man twice. See what I'm saying? Twice. How many people saw Event Horizon? Event Horizon with Larry Fishburne. Listen, this is the key. Any movie that come out science fiction, the white boy is giving up all the keys in the shit. You got to go and see it. You can't sleep on it because the shit is not going to come all the time in a book. As a matter of fact, a lot of the shit in the book, he is stopped printing if you didn't get them yet. So therefore, it's going to come in the movies. What the fuck is movies? Movies is mythology. What is mythology? Mythology is physics and science. So they understand that they can put it right in a movie and be just as authentic as putting it in a research book. You got to understand how real scholarship works. It's not based on this version of what they told you in school. You got your PhD for writing some paper on some bullshit. In Event Horizon, they had this machine that created an artificial black hole. And what is the black hole? The black dot inside of you. What happened on the movie? The white boy got sucked into the black hole, and when he was spitting back out, what did he say? I can't take the blackness. I can't take the blackness. And it ran him crazy because he didn't have the melanin, because he was a mutant. He couldn't take the blackness. see what I'm saying? You got to understand what's actually going on and how this whole thing is shaping up at this particular time. So let's go into some other mysteries at this particular time so you can understand something. Now HEMMITT came and he told you all about the Hale-Bopp thing last year, or this year, the whole 9 yards, so he's covered that. But the Hale-Bopp thing was one key in the mystery of the comet that was supposed to come, because in the Zohar, which is the written Kabbalah, they talk about this comet that was coming in the last days. In the Celtic mystery, which is your mysteries of Excalibur and the Arthurian mysteries, they talk about the last days when what will come is a dragon's tail. The dragon's tail, which is the comet. But when the comet comes, it says, after the comet comes, the comet will come and will get in a fight with a star, or a flame, or a star. It's the mystery of the flame and the star. The flame is the comet, which also represents your kundalini, because everything that's going on in the heavens is going on in your body. Look, we have passed the comet stage. We are in the other realm at this particular time, because the comet is coming and going. But outside it acts as a sign. Inwardly is a combination of your spirit illuminated. The flame is the kundalini inside of you that you've seen on the staff of Tahuti. You've seen the staff of Tahuti Medical Association. For the people that see, that's the Medical Association. You've seen the staff of Tahuti. You've seen the flame. The flame is the energy inside of you, which is a cosmic fire that shoots up your spine. So when you saw that comet, that was a reflection of something that's going on the inside of you, which is the kundalini energy rising. That's why they had to start killing you off. The star that was supposed to get in a fight with this flame is the star, is the black dot that is illuminating us. That's the star. But if you notice, this particular symbol is also a symbol of the double helical structure of the DNA. You see, it's what it is, the double helix structure of the DNA. So the star and the flame that they're actually talking about is, in actuality, what has also happened in the Hale-Bopp mystery. Now, how do we know this is true? Because there's an Etruscan man. The Etruscans are the original people that started Greece and Rome, that the Indo-Europeans came down and took the society like they did with the Native Americans and plagiarized all the shit and said that it was their language. When the Etruscans are the motherfuckers that taught them how to speak. Because Count Varney said that we even had to teach them how to speak. And the Etruscans is nothing but another form of the Phoenicians, the seafarers. And these are the people that started Greece and Rome. You see what I'm saying? Also in that paper that I gave you, that document, they say that they are mumbling, which means that they can't even talk. They're always grumbling, which is talking about they can't even talk, the white man. So, at the funeral of, was it the funeral of Julius Caesar? They was all rejoicing because there was a comet that came in Rome at the time of the death of Julius Caesar. And they had already had a prophecy of when the comet come, the end of the world was coming. But anytime the end of the world came in the ancient time, or the thought of the end of the world coming in the ancient time was a great rejoicing period. That means that you don't have to do no more time on planet Earth, in this jail cell or this prison camp. And you'll be released back into the God that you used to be, or the deities or the energy force that you used to be. Go get the movie Dark Crystal and you'll see all the shit I'm talking about. They put it in one fucking movie, The Dark Crystal. That's if you don't own shit. You need to go down to the damn child section in damn Blockbuster and buy the damn Dark Crystal or wherever the hell you go. They set wherever they sell videos and buy that. Because everything, the crackers worked on that shit for 5 years. So they ain't working on no child movie for 5 years. They just put it that way so it can fool most of the people that don't know what time it is, the Dark Crystal. All the shit I'm talking about is explained in the Dark Crystal. But anyway, they were rejoicing back in Rome during the death of Julius Caesar because there was a comet in the overhead at the same time. But the Etruscan man, which was the original people of Rome, stood up and said, no, that is not the comet. He said there's going to be a comet going to come in the end days. It's going to be the one that will be the end, but that won't be the one. And he was talking about the comet that just came. And he said to let you know that I'm not lying. I'm going to do something right now to prove to all of you all that I'm telling the truth. And he fell out and died. Fell out and died. This black man doing the death of, and it's recorded in a book called Ancient Greek and Roman Religion. 2-volume book. Ancient Greek and Roman Religion. You can get that book at, see, Barnes and Nobles has these sale books. They got their own printing press company, so they can print a lot of this shit and sell it for like $6. And they got these hardbound sale books, and and that's one of them. But if you go there, they can order it, right? They got a shipping yard, and they can order that shit. They got another one called the Wisdom of Ancient Egypt. It's a book. If you go there, you can see it in their sales section. It's the Wisdom of Ancient Egypt. And in there, they got the papyrus in that book on the contendings of Horus and Set. And that's the fight between the good forces and the evil force, which is in that particular book, as well as ancient Egyptian literature by Faulkner. Ancient Egyptian literature by Faulkner has that fight between Horus and Set, the complete version, as well as ancient Egyptian literature by Miriam Litcham, Volume 2, has that fight. And if you can't find those, you can get From Fetish to God in Ancient Egypt by E. Wallace Budge that has that chapter of the fight. But if you read it from ancient texts, you need to get as many different versions of the ancient text that you can get, because we're dealing with white people who have problems translating shit. So you need to get as many versions, and you need to tell your higher self what the fuck is the real truth. You see what I'm saying? What is the real truth and all? So let's go on. Let's go on. Let's see what we got here. Okay.
Yeah, a little over an hour.
Huh? A little over an hour. Okay. At this particular time, all black people have melanin. The ones that still living, that the government ain't killed. But all black people ain't conscious. What makes you different than those particular ones? It's simple. It's simple. They all have melanin, they all have the black dot, but they do not all have an advanced heart chakra. When you, the advanced beings, came back down to reincarnate, to be the ones to get us out of this mess, your heart chakra became open. Which means, the old saying, his heart wasn't in it. Which means you gotta be real. Your heart wasn't in it. So what we mean by that is your heart chakra, everyone has melanin. But all black people we see, every brother ain't a brother. You heard that before. Yes. The problem is their heart chakra is not open. Here's your chakra system, in your body. Hold on, let's get it. In your body, the chakra system, but the heart chakra has to be illuminated for you to obtain this particular knowledge. And what this means is this. You have the root chakra, the navel chakra, the spleen chakra, there's one, and you have the solar plexus. But then you have the heart chakra. If they're not radiating, if the energy on the kundalini is not radiating above the heart chakra, that means that their consciousness is down in the root chakra. So no matter how much you try to teach them this knowledge, the consciousness comes straight down here and it bounces off. They can't get it down here at the root chakra. The only way you'll be able to receive knowledge that it makes you want to understand more is your heart chakra has to be radiating before you can get to the throat chakra, the brow chakra, and the crown chakra. It has to be illuminated at the heart chakra. So your heart has to be in it. So that's what it means, don't cast pearls to swine, because most of the people are illuminating on the lower chakra, which is ruled by the lower ego. And in order for you to get what's really coming to you, you got to be illuminated on the heart chakra. On the actual heart chakra. And this is what's actually going on at this particular time. Now let me deal with some things right now, because we also know that the government went to Mars this summer with the probe. We need to ask this question. Why the hell would they send a damn probe to Mars and don't land where the face of Mars is? Which they took pictures since 1976. And why isn't that shit died out after a couple of rocks? About 2 or 3 weeks they showed rocks and that's it. You see what I'm saying? That's it. We need to ask that particular question on what actually went on. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that there used to be black people on Mars, but guess who they used to worship? The motherfuckers down here. They used to worship us. Because they understood that those particular ones that was in the other star systems, not the star systems from way beyond, but our solar system, Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, and all of those. Those particular entities used to worship us because they understood that the whole universe had to be redeemed from the lowest planet. And our planet would be the last planet, which in actuality is the first planet. So they used to worship us not because we were the lowest planet, it's because we were the planet on the mountaintop. See, the hologram has got you looking out in space, which is actually down, and the earth is actually up. So when you look in the earth, you're looking at the highest point of the doggone heavens. So Osiris, or Osar being up under the ground, which is actually inside of your mind, is the highest part of the heavens. So we're actually up, and the other shit is down, and they're waiting on us. So when the people on Mars used to worship us, and they built a big monument to it, to Horus, a Heru that was on earth. And they used to worship us because we were the sleeping gods. So they used to worship us. Very key to understand that at this particular time. Now, let's get into a couple of things. Let's get into a couple of things on what we're going to get into at this particular time. And I want to explain this to you. All right. The words, the 144 negative confessions. I want to deal with this right now. 144 negative confessions, which is in the book of the dead, or the book of coming forth by day, which Moses took 10 of those 144 negative confessions and made the 10 commandments from. Now, we don't deal on moralism. That ain't got shit to do with the immortals, which we are. Damn, who the hell is this? Some fools out there. And you know what? That might be energy. Because when I talk, and when other people talk, you always get some shit disturbing things. And you'd be surprised. It might be some other type shit out there. Than more than somebody blowing a horn. The 144 negative confessions is the word negative means it ain't got shit to do with your physical body. Now let me explain this on what I'm talking about here. We don't deal with moralism because we deal with instinct. We just are. Now, what I mean by that is this. And when we go into a question and answer, which we're going to do so we can get the ball rolling, because I want to get some things. I want to explain something to you here. When we first looked at this, the first Afrocentric scholars first looked at the 144 negative confessions, they thought that when the initiate used to have to recite this every time, they were saying that you physically I did not kill nobody, I did not go into man, I did not do this, I did not do that, which they changed to I shall not in the Bible or whatever, or in the Torah. The key is this. The 144 negative confessions was not meant for you to follow. Because this is an illusion and you don't even exist on this realm. You never did. This is only a dream. The 144 negative confessions of I have not done this, I have not done that, ain't got shit to do with you physically. This is what your soul has not done because your soul is pure. And your soul has not done it. Because hell, if it was left up to your physical body, we would fail 100. We got 144 of these motherfuckers to do with all the impurities and all of the doggone passions we got down here. You'd be humanly impossible. The only way you was able to do that shit is you'd have to be dead. So it's not talking about, now let me show you what I'm talking. It's not talking about what you didn't do as far as your behavior. It's talking about your soul is pure, and it's been pure, and it's on the inside of you. So therefore, because your soul being pure, you don't have to go around here doing no good behavior shit. And in this case, because we don't behave good, that's mercy on our ass. This means that your soul has not done these particular things. So the Book of the Dead is not talking about what a person is supposed to read and take a moral code and a moral law and live his life by. It's saying, while you in this hell, this is what your soul is going through on the inside of you. That's the moralism. When they say the nature of the black man or black woman is that of God, or that which is righteous. You see what I'm saying? Which is talking about your soul and it has nothing to do with the way you behave on the outside. Now, does this mean that you're just supposed to go out and kill people? In our rightful habitat, by us having a soul, going out and doing the shit we do now is not our nature anyway. We wouldn't do that shit anyway, because it's not our nature. Just like a damn cat wouldn't jump in the damn ocean and swim. He would have to be taught that shit. You get it? So the key on what I'm saying is on all this biblical myth and stuff, and all of the holy books that you think, it's not on how you behave on this realm, it's how your soul behaves in another realm, because your soul is the essence of the Most High. You get it? It is the essence of the Most High. And it has nothing to do with you on this particular realm. Now, so in that case, then what is it that we need to do? What is it that we need to do? The key is, the first thing that we need to do is, I want to read something to you. First of all, let me read this to you. This is called Gnosis in Time. It's a book called Man and Time. The papers from the Ernos yearbooks. Now this is coming from Princeton University. Now to show you, to jump on the whiteboard, all this metaphysical shit, the Ivy League and them put out these yearbooks. The last yearbook was 1957. So that means they had all this knowledge and had already synthesized it before you even went into a whole civil rights movement. So all the shit that we did in the 60s was a damn government strategy, and they was laughing at the whole shit anyway, because they already knew the damn truth and knew their fate and acted upon it. That lets you know how advanced they are as far as what time we're dealing with. Now I want to show you this. I want to read this to you. And it's dealing with time. Because in actuality, time is an illusion, just like I told you. When you put time to something, that's why you can't deal with time as Africans or as black people. Because I want to say this right now. First of all, we need to get out of this whole African shit. Let me deal with this. There is a goal and there is a movement amongst white people to get you to stop calling yourself niggers. Because the word nigger is a very sacred and powerful word. The word nigger comes from alchemy, and it means Saul, which means son, nigger, which means the blackening stage. Which means the blackening stage. Saul nigger. It's an alchemical term. You can get it in a book called, there's a little book by the woman, she wrote the Book of Lilith. Her name is something Coltu. Barbara Black Coltu. Don't ask me how to spell this black last shit. Barbara Black Coltu. She wrote the Lilith book, and she got another book out called Solomon and Sheba. Saul, which is son. Amen. Which is the hidden son. Which is the same Amen Ra. Ra is son, Amen, which means hidden son, which means the black dot. Saul, which is son, Amen, Solomon, which is the hidden son. So Solomon is Amen Ra or Osiris, or Osea. Osea in his illuminated form is Amen Ra. Sheba, the queen of Ethiopia, is like Shekinah, Maya, Sophia, or Aset, Isis. It's a mythological story that got out of hand and somebody made it, try to make it historical. But in there, they talk about alchemy, and in that little book they got the stuff in there called, one of the part of the blackening stage which makes melanin black is called Sol Nigger, the black sun. The black sun. So, when you say the word nigger, because if you look up the word throughout African history and around the world, they got that word Niger, nigger, or they got something like this on different things, nigger. This was an ancient word. But when you say this word, nigger, that means black. Or it means the black sun, you bring on power. And it's power and words of power that can kill. So even though we thought that we started calling each other niggers based on something we heard the white boy, we repeated. The reason why we call ourselves, that's the spiritual part. So first of all, I had to get you to stop calling yourself black and get yourself, stop calling yourself niggers. A black nigger. This is metaphysics shit. We can back it up. We can back this shit up. You challenge me on this motherfucker. It's an alchemical term, which is melanin. So, get you to stop calling yourself black, which is power, and nigger, which means black, which is power, the black sun. Saul nigger, or Amen Ra. To calling yourself an African American, which is a non-existent motherfucking entity. America don't exist because this is not America, which is a white man, or it's a double white man thing of Africa. That's the damn Roman white boy too. Neo-Africanus. So it's the reason why they do shit this way. Okay.
I gotta change my tape.
Change your tape. Okay, then we gotta go into this.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me change it
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
And while I'm changing, can she tell you what's getting ready to go down?
Right, okay. Excuse me, I hate to put a break in this, but this is very important. This Monday, November the 10th.
Sun. The sun is light. Then you'll understand why is it that they took most black lights off the market from the 70s. Hard as hell to find a black light now.
Yeah.
You can find them, but why is it that they took a lot of those off of the market during the doggone from the 70s? Because they understood in this particular time, with your spirit rising, although you tripped in the 70s with it, can you imagine what would happen when your consciousness came back in at this particular time and the black light was kicking? You got to understand when they take shit off the market, the black light posters and all that type of stuff. Because they don't want you to tap into a certain amount of things, and the black light could actually open up certain dimensions for you, a certain cosmic consciousness. So the fix is in now. We got to find all the black lights we can. They have Canal Street. Yeah, find me some black lights. Only thing they got to do at this particular time to keep things, they can still sell it. They just don't keep it. They just don't keep it popular. And since we in and out, we faddish people, we forget stuff. But now is the time for the black lights because the simple fact, just like the book Mark Balfour said, your melanin is rising now. The ones that's awoke. Okay. In the Kabbalah, or in the ancient Kabbalistic teachings, the word melanin is also called crystalline dew. Crystalline dew. You can get that in a book called Kabbalah Unveiled. Kabbalah Unveiled by MacGregor Mathers. MacGregor Mathers. Kabbalah Unveiled. So anytime you hear the word dew or crystalline dew, that's melanin. And it's in that particular underlying duty, which is melanin. In that book, Kabbalah Unveiled by McGregor Mathers. Remember that particular one. Now let me deal with this time thing right quick, and then we're going to go into a question and answer. And also, the science of melanin is broken down in the I Ching system. And if anybody have ever looked at the I Ching system, you will see these little lines and these little dots in the I Ching system. That is the way in the pattern that how melanin is formed, or how melanin actually is activated. And there's a book you can get called The Tao of Chaos. The Tao of Chaos, or the Tao of the Tao of Chaos. What's Tao? T-H-O, what's Tao? T-A-O, of chaos. And in the book, it's a scientific study of melanin and how the ancient Chinese, because you know the original Chinese were black, with the I Ching system that came by way of Samaria up into doggone Asia, and your I Ching system is in actuality the study of melanin. You could also have divination from the I Ching system, just like you can from the tarot. So the major arcana in the tarot deck is the study of melanin. Is the study of melanin. In the major arcana in the tarot system is the study of actual melanin. So it was made, so the divination where you read the cards, that's a secondary shit. You're supposed to take the tarot system and try to learn the archetypes of the arcana, because it came out of Egypt and ended up in Europe. How did it end up in Europe? The fucking Moors brought it there. Just like they brought classical music. So now you can take classical music, and I swear your pineal gland will start pulsating if you listen to classical music. So don't say I don't like that shit, because whether you know how to like it or not, it's on the background of most damn movies you hear. So when you get into it, you say, oh, I remember this. I've been listening to this since I was a child. So classical music was brought up by the Moors. The tarot was brought up by the Moors. As well as they got something called the Bohemian tarot. The Bohemian tarot, the word Bohemia, or the Bohemians were the actual gypsies, which were the children of the Moors, the bastardized children of the Moors. So when they came over here and saw black people over here, they say the Bahamas, which is named after the Moorish children, the gypsies. And they were great tarot readers. The gypsies, which was the black people. Go and get the movie The Advocate. The Advocate. 1985, The Advocate. And the whole shit is based on these fucked up people in Europe, but they got a real gypsy on there, not this white people you see now in the movies. A real gypsy and a Saddam sister, which they thought was evil because they taught them, the Pope of Rome taught them that black people were the devil. And that's the basis of how